Let's start as usual with homework. Hopefully everyone got a chance to go through that. Any questions from that? Any interesting things? I know I found a few. No? All right, a few of the things I found. So we're using like a 3/8 inch concrete fastener down here. And when I looked at the fabrication standards with a 3/8, and it was this one. They wanted to do a 1/2 inch diameter, that 1.5 inch diameter with a 1.5 inch long slot, but an 1.5 inch long slot doesn't actually fit on our T clips, so I ended up just doing a 1 inch slot all the way down here. And then over here, I found Fabs for these on the server. Hopefully you guys found the same. But on the corner one, we're just using 2 hard holes. At least that's the one on the server. And we went to the hard holes over here because the slots kind of don't make any sense. So it's just oversized hard holes for the field to like make small adjustments. That's what I ended up with there. Let's see. I also added the countersinks on the caps. So these caps now have countersinks in them. So one of the things, these caps don't have to be handed because it's symmetrical. You could just take this thing and flip it around to put it at the top. So as long as when you did the movements, because we had to move these caps into place, we couldn't, actually no, I think we ran layout on these. Did we run layout? No. These caps are moved in place. Let's check that real quick. Yeah, we moved these caps into where their final positions. And when I did that, I made sure that I took I did the same movement, except I mirrored it. I didn't mirror it. I rotated it to flip it around the other way, so that when I did the countersinks on this cap, it would show in the correct direction on both locations, but it's still using the same fab. Does that kind of make sense? So, oops, keep doing that. That was the caps. The brake shape didn't need anything. Could have indicated finish. Put the countersinks on that one. I think I did that on the video. Last meeting, I added holes for these. I had to change the mark numbers or the fab numbers for these because 2 of these are at the door header. 2 of them are like this with a certain size hole and certain size spacing and a certain length. And then the other 2 are down at the bottom of the door with a different hole size and different length and stuff. So I had to make those 2 different fab templates. All my pocket fillers I kept as the same template. Had to add notches to this guy, both the countersinks at the bottom to attach it to the clip, and also the clearance notch at the top to slide it over the clip. And I just kind of went down this list of things. The pressure bars, all those fabs were on the server already. Fab 1 is for a vertical pressure bar with gaskets on both sides. So I had to use that one at the door because we don't really, at least in Fremont, we don't, we just let the shop put all the gaskets on this thing, and then they don't need the gasket where the door is, so the field can cut it and rip it out there. We don't actually tell them, hey, we want full length gasket on one side and like 4 feet of gasket going from the top. Like we don't do that generally. So we just tell them, put gaskets everywhere on these guys. The 1L is for the jam. It does have gasket on one side and nothing on the other side, so we do show it there. These 1Ms are for the horizontals, gaskets on both sides, and a weep hole. 1B is for the bottom at the sill, gasket on one side and a weep hole. 1T is at the head for weep hole and gasket at the bottom. And what else do we got here? I think that was it for the pressure bars. The covers, I did that on yesterday during the lesson. What else was there? The Fabs for the T-clips and stuff, the ones at the head were already there. There was already one with the correct size slot and everything, so I just used that. That was Fab 1. Then there was also a Fab 2, but it was a different size that isn't on this job. So I ended up making a Fab 3, and a Fab 3 is for that 1/2 inch slot for the 3/8 inch, and I just put that at the bottom everywhere. And then according to the server Fabs, 1C was at a corner with that same 1/4 inch Duraflex attachment. So it's got an oversized 3/8 diameter hole for the 1/4 inch Duraflex. And then I made 3C, which is for the oversized similarly down here at the bottom, but otherwise the same notches for the 1/2 inch or the 3/8 quick anchor. F clip, same thing, 1 and 3. So I plan to, yeah, the anchoring conditions vary somewhat on this job. It can. I saw details with a bunch of different hole layouts on these T-clips. So that's another good reason to have these T-clips on their own tag, because now the field can see I need this mark number at the bottom and this mark number at the top. Whereas if I didn't have them as separate tags, they'd be in here, and the mark number would be in the middle here. They wouldn't know exactly which one's top, which one's bottom, and then I'd have to make a bunch of variations of this tag just to get different combinations of T-clips, which sounds crazy. I didn't have to do anything on the sills. The Fab was already there. Same with the horizontals. There was like a mistake on the vertical Fab that I had to fix, but that was about it. So my vertical Fab looks like this. So this is my Fab 1. It has the cap plate on the ends. This is the way that Fremont does it, but and we actually took it from you guys because we had some kind of crazy angle extrusion that we screwed in here, and we had to notch this thing out. And then someone from your branch showed us, hey, you could just screw in through here and put like a little shear plate. We're like, oh, that sounds great. So we'll do that too. But I don't know if we're doing it the exact same way, but this is the way we did it. And I didn't look at your detail to make sure it was the same thing, but we just show it like that. We're pointing at it both places, top and bottom, and saying how to attach the shear plate. And I think that was it. There was nothing else going on these things. So there were a few notches to make, most of them on miscellaneous parts like the door header. And for this one here, I did put one hole in there. I should have probably erased the hatching. I don't usually like to leave that there. But I put one hole in there and called out both the access hole and the clearance hole. And you can see those holes because I actually modeled them. You could have made that as a feature, but because I actually modeled them, you could see the holes here. So you know you have it in the right orientation. Also, this might interfere with something else on the BIM model. So it's kind of nice to see that 3 inches above this doesn't hit anything like another screw or something like that. All right. So that was yesterday. Any last minute questions before we move on to assembling extrusions? All right. So Today is all about assembled extrusions. Hopefully we can get through all this. If not, we'll just continue tomorrow with it. But it's pretty important. So we have what are called shop use parts. And these are parts that are assembled to other parts before being packaged and sent out either to the field or to the unit assembly line. One of their main features is their mark number doesn't appear on the key sheet. At least when you print it out, it won't show up. The mark number is only on the fab ticket of the item they are attached to. So there's a bunch of different examples of how you can do that. There's basically 4 different ways that we can attach things together in the program. And we're going to go through all of them eventually. And there's an example of each one of these in this one elevation. So at least the way we have it set up right now. So the first one we're going to start with is when the 2 parts that you're attaching together are on the same tagline and the thing that's being attached is fixed length. So the example that I'm going to use for this is the caps on the vertical extended cover. So if I look at my data, here's my vertical with the extended cover. The caps are pre-attached to the cover and they're all on the same tagline and the caps are fixed length. So that's this first situation. This happens a lot with little accessory parts, little angles or caps or something like that. So these are, you have to attach them together in the model, but that attachment is stored with the data in the tagline. So as long as you copy, and I don't think I've actually gone over this, but when you copy the data to make more data, as long as you copy both the items. So once I've attached these 2 caps to this part here, as long as I copy these 3 by selecting them like that and copy, or going up here and doing copy, as long as they're getting all copied at the same time, when you paste them back down, they will still be attached together. Okay. So, and yeah, that it's stored in the data. So anytime I use that data, they'll always be attached. So the next time, like the next elevation or the next sheet that I run into, is if I'm still using this use or a copy from this use, they will be attached together and I won't have to reattach them in the model. And then we'll go over how this all works, how we set that all up. So let's just do that together. So what I want to do is, and I'm only going to do it on one of these verticals because they're all the same use. I want to attach the cap here to this main, or this cover. So over here is the pre-assemble extrusions button. This one will disassemble. We're not going to go over that. That one's pretty self-explanatory. But we'll hit pre-assemble extrusions and just follow the prompts. Pick the main extrusion. That would be the cover. Select the extrusions to attach. So I got 2 to attach, so I'm going to select both of those. Caps, hit enter, and it attached them together. It doesn't actually show you anything. Actually, it does. If I go find this thing in the list, you can see, oops. You can see here that this part now has 2 caps attached, and the caps are in green. And what this green indicates is that it's now a shop use part. So the mark number, cap 1-1A, won't appear on my elevation anymore after I UPD it. So like with any change that you do in the BIM model, remember when we were stretching and changing the lengths in the BIM model, you have to save it to save that change. So I'm just gonna use the QSave command to save this thing. And now all the caps are attached to their respective extended cover. So one of the main things about doing this kind of attachment is it's part of this fab number. So fab 1 will always have 2 caps, 1 on each end. So in the future, when I do a curtain wall or something and I only need a cap on one end or no ends, I'm going to need to use a different fab number. So this style of attachment, which is called a part, not plural, just a part, it's dependent on the fab number. It's built into the fab number. So let's open up this fab and see what it looks like now. So because I attached them in the BIM model, it put the caps in here for me already. You can see them here. It has the countersinks, the notches that I put on the caps, already built in here as well. So now all I have to do is add notes to this this fab template to call out the caps and all that stuff. So to call out the caps, you can go into the list here and right click on it, and you can choose draw leader. And I'm going to draw a leader. Let's just do this one first. They're the same mark number, so it kind of doesn't matter. I'll point to this cap, and it already fills in some of the information that you need on a leader for this. It's got the part number, the mark number. When you draw the ticket, the mark number is going to actually be put in here automatically. And then it also says attach with. So I need to go look at my detail to figure out how this thing's attached. So it's 06 BP. And then you can use your insert descriptions command that we went over last time to convert that into the full description. And then I just need to fix my my spacing here, my line wrapping. So I got that one there. And then this one, I don't know, I'll put the note over here. So I could just do that again. Right click, draw leader, point. I could just copy that and then I wouldn't have to go through that insert descriptions, but good practice. And then also, I don't like the fact that the cap is hiding the part. So I'm just going to run hatch faces again. And actually, maybe I should hide something first. Let's hide this thing. So I'll hide that object. That way I can click on this face without too much trouble. Hatch faces, select this whole face. I hope it's working. It's hard to tell what face it did. Ugh. That's because the isolate didn't actually work, or it doesn't actually hide that thing. So I'll turn on my selection cycling. Fine, AutoCAD, you've convinced me. See, it wants to do that face even though it's hidden. Can I tab? No. Can I click? Okay, there we go. Don't want that, don't want that. This is the one I want. There we go. And now you can just erase this hatch. Hatch faces always does a hatch and a hidden line, just to make it nice for things like this, where you don't want where you only want the hidden line outline. All right. So this is built into the fab template. Now, whenever I use a fab one, I'll have both caps and everything is good. Let's go back here. I don't know what will happen if I preview fab ticket on this. I might have to run UPD again, but let's just see. Preview fab ticket. It might not put the mark number in because it hasn't been UPD'd. No, it did anyway. So it's cap 1-1A. I don't know if that's the right mark number. I might want to look at that, but it automatically puts in that mark number there. If you needed to draw this leader from scratch, I can't imagine why, but if you did, you just draw a leader normally, you put some stuff in it, and it's looking specifically for mark number like that. put the mark number in. Then you run the apart command. That's why this is called apart. And you want to select the mark number text, which is this thing. And then you have to fill in all this stuff, like what is the part number, the length, the finish, and the fab number of the part that is getting attached. That way, when it draws the ticket, it can find the mark number of this thing and put it in there. But it's just easier just to right click over here and draw leader. All right. So that was a part. Let me see if there's anything else I missed. Nope. Any questions about a part? So we're telling the shop, the way the shop works is they'll cut all the shop use parts, like this cap now. They'll cut them ahead of time and then have them in a big pile. And then when they finally do get around to cutting the main parts of the job, when they cut this, they'll see on the fab ticket that they need to attach those those other parts onto it, so they can pull them out of the bin and screw them on before they package this thing, and even before it goes over to unit assembly, if you're dealing with a unit job. All right, so the next one, oh, we're doing pretty good on time. Maybe we will get through all these. The next one is, they're on the same tagline, the two parts, but the thing you're attaching is not fixed length anymore. Okay. So the example I had here was the pocket filler on the horizontal above the door. So these are attached together in the model, same as a part. I should have put the name on here. Oh, I did. So this one's called a part, the one we did. This new one is called a parts with an S. These are just based off of the names of the command that we used to use to make these things happen. And unfortunately, the name of this command is very similar to this. Maybe we should come up with a different name, but right now it's just a parts with an S. The attachment is stored in the same way as a part. They're stored in the UD window, and as long as you copy them together, they'll still be attached together. You can also use the insert leader in the fab template, but the mark number is in a different place. So let's just do this one on this pocket filler above the door. So if you remember the horizontal here that I made way back when, horizontal above door, I put the pocket filler in the same tagline as the horizontal member. So that's same part, or the two parts are in the same tag, and this one is not fixed length. So as this horizontal changes length, the channel also changes length. They're kind of the same size, right? So let's attach these two together. Actually, I'm going to back up a tiny bit, and I already saved this thing, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to run UPD just so you can see what the shop use stuff looks like in here. So when I ran that attachment, it converted the caps to shop use. There's a box here for it, but it also turns that box on when you attach it. And again, I don't see it here until I hit refresh. So now that I hit refresh, these are checked on as shop use. And when I UPD this elevation, the shop use mark numbers will be showing in green if they're showing at all. Yeah. So you can see all these green mark numbers for the caps. Now, this green is special. It's on a special layer called the tag shop use layer, and that layer is set to not print. So no matter what, this thing won't print on a sheet, and it shouldn't. And you could toggle that layer by using the LMS command, S for shop use. So layer manager shop use. And if you just run LMS, you could toggle them on and off. So you could see what it would look like when it prints, and you could also just have that information there so you can help yourself with extra information. Righty. So back to a part. Oh, now that I've UPD this, I got to cube in the whole thing again, which takes like 30 seconds. I'm just doing this up here, so I'm only gonna do the stuff around this head, so we don't have to wait as long. All right. So you start off A parts with the same way. You use pre-assembled extrusions. Main extrusion is the horizontal, and the extrusion to attach, which has mostly become invisible. Thankfully, I have the hole over here. It's this that channel there. I could go side view, make it a little more clear, but it's this channel here. All right, so attach those two together. It converted the channel into a shop use part. It's green here. I want to save this because that does affect my UD data. And then I'll open the Fab template and we'll see what it did. So it put in the channel right in the same place that it was in the BIM model. And it also added this chart here on the side. So to access this chart, you use the A parts command with the S, and you can add all kinds of stuff in here. But it did this one for me automatically because I attached them together in the BIM model. You can put part numbers in here like I have here, and what it will do is when it puts a mark number in this chart here, it's going to look for the corresponding channel part that's on the same tagline and put its mark number here. So even though this thing will have multiple mark numbers, we'll also have multiple mark numbers here. That's why the mark numbers are here instead of, in the case of A part, it's up in the leader. This one, you'll have a different mark number for each different length of part, so you need different mark numbers there. We'll go into this chart a little more some other time because you could put dimensions and stuff in here. But for right now, it's the A parts chart for this mark number. Same thing, right click over here, draw leader to call this thing out. And because this is A parts, it knows that you don't need to put that mark number line in here. So we could just double click in here, attach with, I think it was a 13 AP. Let me double check that. I'll take a guess and then verify. $13 AP. Right on. So insert descriptions, resize a little bit. And then if you needed to, you'd of course dimension it, just like with the A part, you would need to dimension where this thing goes. But in this case, it's just kind of pushed flush against there, so I don't think I need to dimension that at all. You also might need dimensions along the part. Maybe this thing isn't flush to the ends, maybe it's ½ inch in or something like that. You'd have to add those dimensions as well. You can add those as part of a feet if you wanted to, or you can just leave them free floating like I am doing right now. And that's it for this A parts. Typically, you'd only do A parts on horizontals. You very rarely want to do that on a vertical. Usually with verticals, we're going to use option 4 in this list, which option 4 would be is what we're going to use as our example for. It's going to be a pocket filler on a vertical. So, but you could do this using option 4, or because it's a horizontal, you can do it with the A parts style that we're doing here. I'm just doing it A parts style because it seems it's a good example of one. All right, so any questions about A parts? All right. CQ this. Back to my BIM model, already saved it. I'll just close it without saving. So when I UPD, I should get that channel at this head or at this horizontal to be green. So it's way up there in that list. More of these parts are gonna start being a shop use, so this whole thing will just get a little bit cleaner the more and more we work on it. Let me hit refresh here so I could see that it's shop use. All right. That was option 2. Now these next 2 options are for when the 2 parts are not in the same tagline. So this first one is probably the most common out of all of these. It's when the 2 parts are on different taglines and those 2 taglines intersect. So they can be attached in 2 different ways. You can do it directly into your UD window using the clips and attach checkboxes, or you can, for a one-time, one location instance, you can attach them together by clicking them in the model using that same command we were using, pre-assemble extrusions. Most of the time you're just going to be doing clips and attach because these are fairly numerous. So it's just much easier to do it there. When you are using clips and attach, the taglines have to be close enough to each other. If they move too far away from each other, then they won't pick each other up and they won't be attached together. And usually you check the shop use box manually if you're using clips and attach. I'll talk about the graphics in a minute. So let's do that. Our example for this is the shear block clips being attached to the vertical. So when we ship out the vertical to the field, all those shear block clips are already attached at the right heights, and all the field has to do is put the horizontal in there. Makes it a lot easier for them. That's one of the main reason we do it. So let's talk about the vertical first. So I got this vert. The clips and attach boxes are here. So the main part, should get the clips checkbox because it receives clips. So I want vertical mullion to receive clips. So any other parts that have the attached checkbox that are intersecting this tagline will show up as a attachment on this part here. You're basically telling it which parts are attached to which other parts. So all my verticals should have the clips checkbox. So I'm going to quickly go through and do all these. Clips for the jam main body, jam R, clips main body, the vert clips, the door verts, they should all have clips. And that's it for that. All right, now the things to attach. Those are going to be all the shear block clips on everywhere. All of these shear block clips are attached to the verticals. So you click the attach box there. And while we're here, we might as well check the shop use box because these shear block clips are going to be shop use attached to the vertical. Oh, I missed the corner. Corner should be clips. Horizontal, so 2 shop use attached shear block clips. Repeat, repeat, repeat. The same would be true for this door header. The 2 angles are shop use and attach, but we'll leave that for homework. And that's it for the horizontals. I'll hit apply. Then I'll run UPD. So what I'm expecting to see here when I UPD this, and sometimes it's good to like think about what you expect to see, because if you don't end up seeing that, then you know something went wrong. What I'm expecting is all of these shear block clip mark numbers, they should all go green. And there's a lot of them all over this thing. Also, I'm expecting my verticals to change mark numbers. So right now they're all V1-5. They should get a new mark number because now they have shear block clips attached to them. So let's UPD and see if all those things come true. So yep, all my shear block clips turned green, and this is now V15A. The jam also changed if you were watching that, but now I have a whole bunch of green mark numbers here for the shear block clips. Just quickly save this and QBIM the whole thing. So once you use the clips and attach box, when you run QBIM, it's going to make the graphics required for those attachments and put them in the places that they need to be. And I'll show you where all that is. Used to have to draw this stuff manually, and that was just time consuming. So if you didn't have all your notches set up, if you didn't have your layout set up correctly, and you ran QBIM, it's probably, but you did have your clips and attached checkboxes marked, and then you ran QBIM, it probably is going to make the wrong graphics for you on all of these things. That's why I'm kind of attacking these things in this order, because it minimizes the amount of going backwards and doing rework. So the shear block clips are all listed under the appropriate vertical that they need to be on. So this vertical has a bunch of shear block clips, left side at this location, right side at this location, et cetera, et cetera. So let's look at the fab template for this one. Doesn't look like my fab template changed, which is what I expected. These last two styles of attachment here, they aren't showing. They don't show on the fab template. So this allows you to use the same fab template for a bunch of different clip layouts, and those clips appear when you run the ticket. So I'm going to close that real fast, and let's just do a preview fab ticket so you can see where we're heading. So by virtue of the BIM model, it knows what the attachment looks like. It knows that this is a clip of this type with this shape, with this length, and it's located there. And it adds all this information here as far as what part, which side is it on, B is for both sides, its exact location up and down the part, and the mark number to use. Now, we have some issues on this right now because of the way we kind of did these lessons and the order that we entered things in. Number one is these locations aren't the ones that we really want. Usually what we tell the shop is the top of the horizontal that goes along with the shear block clip. Right now, it's giving me that location at the very top of the shear block clip, which isn't incredibly useful. That's why I'm getting 30 seconds and stuff in here. And that's also why this looks like it's a little too far down, because it's actually giving me the location right here. It's just off. So, and then also the mark number. So this mark number is probably wrong. And if I look back on my thing here, the shear block clips are all CL1-1B, but over here it's just 1-1. The reason for that is because we changed the finish on these and we changed the length of these. So after they were, before we ran UPD, we had the shear block clips running full length. They weren't fixed length right away. Then we changed them later to be fixed length. And then we changed them again to make them from paint to mill. So the program is pretty confused about this part right now. So to get the right mark numbers there, we're going to have to do something. And that's the source of one of the sources of the error messages that we were getting earlier when we changed stuff in the UD window. It would throw up this warning that I was just ignoring. A lot of that was because of these shear block clips. So let's fix a couple of these issues. But otherwise, this looks pretty good. I don't think we need to do anything extra for these drawings as far as like adding graphics or anything like that. But I will show you how to do that. Let's just fix the heights because it bothers me a lot. So the heights go back to layout. And yeah, I'm gonna go all the way back to layout. And I'm probably just gonna use this detail because they're all gonna be similar. When I ran layout on this, on the horizontal above the door, I didn't have the attached checkbox checked yet. But now that I do, we'll see some extra stuff. Yeah. All right. So what we didn't have before when we didn't have the attached checkbox is this yellow line right here. And there's also a blue line underneath it. These are the attachment locations for the yellow part and the blue part, which are the two shear block clips. You can see the colors over here too. Yellow and blue are the shear block clips. So right now I have them, they are by default set at the very top of the part, but I actually want to move both of these lines. I'll just do one at a time so you can see them both. I want to move it so that the attachment location is at the top of the horizontal like that for both of them. This is probably why we should have probably set the attach and clips checkboxes before we ran layout, but we didn't because I didn't want to overload you guys with information. So we have a little bit of stuff to fix. So let's see what that does. I moved the attachment location up to the top of the horizontal. I'm going to save changes. And now when I look back here, looks like my offset now is 0.0005, pretty close to 0. Looks like there's some inaccuracies in either the detail or where we ended up putting the tagline in the detail when we were running layout. But then we also get this displacement number of negative 0.3048. So I need this layout on all the shear block clips that are based off of taglines that are sitting at the top of the horizontal. So this works for, that layout should work for the sill. It should work for the all the horizontals. So we can copy this layout to the other uses by right-clicking, copy layout. So you want to select the line first by clicking over in this area to the left of everything. Right-click, copy layout. And I need this shear block clip to have that same layout. So right-click, paste, and it puts that layout right there. You could also memorize the numbers and type them out, but this seems easier. The head I'm going to run separately because it's flipped over. So I can't tell what those numbers are actually going to be for the head. All right, let's apply that. Let's go to the head detail. What was that? My head's on 502. It's 2 on 502. Running layout again. I need to disable this message. Again, I have the shear block clip lines for attachment. I want these to be at the top of the head. Hopefully they're in the same place. See, there's like a little bit of something going on there. Because I think I clicked on the extended cover and it's slightly off. But anyway, so changes on this layout. And now I have 2.5 for the offset and the displacement is that. And I have nowhere else to copy this to. This is the only place. So hit apply there. And now that I've gotten that figured all out, now when I UPD, what am I expecting? I'm expecting the shear block clips to have a new attachment location. And because they have a new attachment location, this vertical mark number should change yet again. Now it's a 5D. Let's QBIM. I'll run the whole elevation again. Now the one thing that will not have updated is the graphics that it's using for the shear block clips themselves. They are still based off of that origin that we had originally, which is the top of the shear block clip. But we can fix that pretty easily as well once this thing finishes. Just show you where you can get all that stuff. So revert, open the fab template, or sorry, should have done preview fab ticket. Fab template doesn't have any of this stuff in it, only on the fab ticket. So there we go. Actually, we probably don't have to fix these graphics because they probably pulled them from the server. But now you can see that our locations make more sense. 2.5 inches from the bottom of the vertical for the first clip, which we're using a 2.5 inch sill. So that makes perfect sense. But if we did need to fix these graphics, over here in the Takeoff Properties window, it lists all the possible attachments of this kind and this fourth kind here. I usually call this style clips because it's usually on shear block clips that you use this stuff. But these are all the different possible clips, graphics for the clips on this part. So not necessarily this fab, just this whole part. So anytime you have a 5100, these are the pictures that it would use if you have the shear block clip fab 1 attached on the left side, on the right side, on the left side but flipped over, and on the right side flipped over. So as I click on these, you can see what they look like. This is a preview of what it would look like if it was inserted at the top of the vertical. And it will download these off of the server or make them for you based on your BIM model if they aren't on the server. So you can, just like a note or notch, you can right click and edit it, edit the note, which is the paper space component of this thing. If I wanted to add like a leader pointing to this thing saying this is that part number, you could do that using this. Edit will edit the model space component of it. Let's just do that. So it gives me what it looks like currently is this bright one, and all the rest of the stuff in my fab ticket is all kind of shaded out. So I can add stuff to this. I can add dimensions if I wanted to, or I could add the outline of the horizontal or the sill, but usually we don't do any of that stuff. Then once you're done, just like with any other notch note, you can just save changes. I can discard changes because I didn't do anything. So that's how you would deal with these. If we needed these to be completely redrawn, you could go in here and delete these, just using that. And then when you remake the BIM model, it's going to remake the graphics for those things. You can also, as long as it's a fixed length part like this, you can right click on it and do redraw attachment drawing, and it will also remake that drawing for, in this case, fab 1 on the left side. So there's a bunch of different little interface thingies you can do with this. So these are called, these things here, these different possibilities, they're called AP drawings, AP for attached parts. And they are stored, if you ever want to look for them, they're in your takeoffs, where your takeoff database is. If you go to Fabs, Dies, AP, this is all the ones that it downloaded off the server, both the model space and the paper space component of it. This one is for the jam because it's this part, Fab 1 on the jam part side, right side, and it's not flipped over, and this is paper space. So they're all just separate little files, but you should be able to see all of these when you look in this list. It's just sometimes it's more convenient to see all of them. Like I could see all the ones on the jam and on the vert and on the corner all at once, and if I wanted to, I could just erase them all from the file system, and then they'll stop showing up over here. Now, any questions about clips and attach? Right, this is definitely the most common thing that we end up doing. Main things to remember is it's not stored on the Fab template. So anything that you need to do to this has to be in the actual AP drawing, both model space and paper space. These also don't have to be fixed length. If this was a unitized system, we would have attach on the horizontals and we'd have clips on the vert, and it will show a little outline of the horizontal where it screw splines into the vertical. So it's the same mechanism that we end up doing on units for non-fixed length parts. The only requirements for doing attach for clips and attach or clips is to have two parts on two different taglines and they are intersecting taglines. Nothing has to be fixed length or not fixed length or anything like that. The attachment is shown on the Fab ticket at the top, which I already showed you guys. And yeah, that's it for clips. And then the last one is very similar to the clips and attach. And I call this the AP attachment, and it's probably the most complicated of them, though not really. And it happens when you have two parts that are on two different taglines, but those two taglines are parallel. They're not intersecting anymore. And I think the best thing we could do right now is just go to the example. So the example for this is the pocket filler on the verticals next to the door. So on this vertical, we have a pocket filler. It's this yellow line here. And the pocket filler only goes where the door is. It doesn't go all the way up. So we put this pocket filler on a different tagline so we can vary the length of it according to the stuff around it. We didn't put it inside of this vertical because then we would have had a fixed length pocket filler and this vertical would only work at doors of this certain size, and just didn't want to pin us down like that. We wanted to be more versatile. So we have two separate taglines, and you can see that they're here and they're parallel to each other. So the way you attach these together is in the BIM model. So I'm going to run pre-assemble extrusions. Main part is the vertical, and the attached part is hiding. It's this yellow guy, like that. Hit enter. And now when I click on this, you can see along with all the other shear block clips, we have this channel. Right now it's on the right side and it's of an unknown location. And it always says unknown at first. You have to save this. So we're saving that attachment that we just made. And then going back here, once I UPD this, I'm expecting my mark number to change for the for this vertical. It's a 5E right now. This vertical here is a 5E. I'm expecting this to go green and this to change because they're attached together. So we got a 5G green channel. And just do this little area here. So this uses a AP drawing very similar to the clips, except instead of just being kind of a fixed AP drawing that it slides up and down the part, this is an AP drawing that it slides up and down the part and then extrudes to a specific length based on the final length of that channel. So you'll notice here that I have a bunch of gold shear block clips. These are gold because they are marked as shop use, but it doesn't look like they're attached to anything. And the reason that is because I didn't actually run BIM on the whole elevation. And so you can see all these gold ones are the ones that are attached to the verticals that I didn't actually model. So we're not going to worry about those. Usually if you do have gold parts, it's not good because you have a part that is marked as shop use. So the mark number is not going to show up anywhere, but then it's also not attached to anything. So where is that mark number going to show up? Nowhere, pretty much, not on any output. So it's a pretty big problem when you have gold parts like this. And now there might be other places, maybe there's a secondary key sheet, or maybe it's like some break shape or something, and you don't mind the mark number not being there, but usually it's kind of a bad sign. But you should be, this will also show up as gold in the on the main key sheet. So if any of my mark numbers here were gold, yeah, it would be a problem. So now it says that this is on the right side and it's at 0 inches. And let's just preview the fab ticket to see that. So this one, where the clips show up on the left side chart, the AP stuff appears on the right side chart. Here's the part number, location is at 0, and that dimension is from the bottom of the vertical to the bottom of the part. And since it's flush at the bottom, it's 0. It's on the right side, and that's the mark number. And you can see that it inserted it in here. See, there's the channel, right? And it inserted it in here, and it runs up to just about where this horizontal is. This should be to scale. So you can see there's no shear block clips all the way on this side of the mullion until we get to the top of the door. On the other side, however, we have the sill, we have the other horizontal. So that all makes sense. It does all that for you. So what we would need to do is add to this AP drawing. You can see the AP drawing is now in the list with the rest of the clip, or with the other clips. And we can edit this to add stuff to it. So usually with AP drawing, you might do edit note and add a leader here that points to this thing and says what part number it is. Like this is 112, 112, 18C, like that. That might be all you need in paper space. You probably want dimensions there too. But remember, you don't have to dimension where up and down this part is or how long it is, because this tells them where it goes from the bottom of the vertical, and this is basically how long the thing is, right? But I might need more layout dimensions, like maybe it needs to be 2 inches from the back or something like that. So edit note will do the paper space notes that go along with this AP drawing. And then this one, you probably never need to manipulate. Edit modifies the model space portion of this, but it doesn't let you change the shape of this, of the thing that it extrudes. That one's fixed, but you can add stuff like dimensions and fun, crazy stuff like that. But usually we don't, so I'm just gonna discard that. And that is the final one here in my list. And we call this one AP, an AP attachment. So yeah, A parts, clips, and AP are the 4 different flavors of attaching things together. Clips and AP are the most versatile because you can make these look like whatever you want. This doesn't actually have to be a part. It could be a notch or something like that. As long as it moves up and down the part, you can make a sort of fake part in your UD data. Like maybe under miscellaneous stuff here, I can have like a notch tag that I draw as a short little horizontal with like a notch part like that. And then I turn on clips, or I'm sorry, turn on attach. Now this thing, I could draw a little short notch tag where I need that notch on this vertical, draw it horizontally, and then I can make graphics for it so that it looks like it's some notch that's like 5 inches wide, or sunshade bracket notch, or whatever it might be. You could do all kinds of stuff, kind of tricking the system and not using real parts. Not really a trick. It's a pretty common technique, at least up here it is, especially for like sunshade brackets. We'll do that kind of stuff. All of these things up here in the chart can be programmed against. So when Rick Janasi gets to this, and when he gets to this fab template or fab ticket, he can program certain machinings to happen at these locations on that side of the part. So if it's up here, it's really easy for him to program as well. Right, any questions about AP and intersect and clips? Or anything in general? That was a pretty quick whirlwind tour of how to attach things together. So two things will stay attached. I didn't mention that, but when you do either of these last two, clips or APs, if you do them in the model, and this one you always do in the model, they're only attached as far as that sheet with those two taglines, as long as they're still using those two uses, those exact tag names. If any of those things change and you did do that sort of temporary one-off attachment, they will break. So, and they won't be attached together anymore, and you'll have to replace it. Like if I took this line here, this pocket filler that I just attached, and I made a copy of it, and then I erased this one, and then kind of put this one back in its place, they wouldn't be attached anymore. This, well, let's just try it. Stupid cycling. All right. Slide this back over-ish. UPD. And now you'll see this is a gold tag, or a gold mark number, because it's no longer attached. I basically switched this tagline for a different one, and it was considering it attached only when it was the other tagline. So, so that's kind of important when you, for these APs at least, you'll have to attach them in the BIM model every time you see them. There's no way to kind of like prescribe that they're always attached throughout your entire drawing set, like there is with clips. Anytime you use that preview or that pre-assemble extrusions with two parts on two different taglines, it's a one-time shot. And as long as you don't change the tags in some way or switch the uses, if I made a copy of the pocket filler, if I made a copy of this pocket filler and it started using the different copy that wasn't attached, it would also break that attachment. So those can definitely break. Got to watch out for those gold mark numbers are bad. All right. Hopefully that all made sense. And if there's no other questions, your homework is to attach all the parts that need to be attached together, which I almost completed in this class. The only things that I missed were the fillers. So you probably want to attach the filler pieces on the sill and the head. The door header clip needs to be attached to the vertical. And I'm just kind of ignoring this corner right now because we're going to go over that later. We'll deal with that in time. So if there's something going on here, just ignore it for now. I still have all of these horizontals straight cut at that corner. What else is there? I don't think there's anything else. I think it might just be this filler up here, and then the two door header clips. But there might be more. You have to go explore. And of course, the T-clips and stuff are not shop use. They're not pre-assembled at all. The anchor, there's an angle here that anchors to the floor. That one is also not shop use, should not be pre-attached because that's sent out to the field and they screw it into the ground first before they screw it into the head or into the vertical. None of the other fillers, the fillers on the jam here, this filler HF15A for me, that one should probably be pre-attached here to the jam piece. The horizontals can't be because they have to be put on, and then that thing's they can't be there because of the shear block clip. So they put the horizontal on and then they snap in that filler. So That one's not shop use. These brake shapes aren't shop use. They're glued onto the glass. Yep. So it's mostly fillers and door header angles. And then all the stuff that I did in this class already. All right, guys. Have a good lunch. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks.
No problem.